the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Well, today we celebrate the feast of the Epiphany of our Lord. And there, we could find so many things that we could meditate on from not only the feast, but also the Gospel of the Mass. So Jesus is presented to the nations on the arms of Mary and Saint Joseph. Then these three wise men, or magi, a sign was given to them to leave everything behind and then go and face trouble and difficulty and hardship to seek Christ and see Him and adore Him. So then we have King Herod, who didn't know anything about it. And once he found out, he wanted to kill him. Then we have the Jews. They knew everything and they didn't do anything about it. So these three different attitudes of when it comes to welcoming Christ continue to be the same today. Same. So the Magi is the ideal reaction towards the presence of Christ, not only in the cave in Bethlehem, but also in the Blessed Sacrament. The same attitudes people had towards the presence of Christ, the newborn King in Bethlehem, are the same attitudes people have towards the Eucharist today. Same. So we have the Magi. They do everything to prepare themselves to go and find out where Christ is, to worship Him. So they begin their journey through hardship and difficulty to the point of losing sight of the star. And then they inquire people as to, what the newborn king would be. Well, they asked the wrong people. And they don't know anything. But then after inquiring, they found the star again. And the Gospel says that they were overjoyed with the sign, with the star. And then they found finally that Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And they put themselves at the same level of Jesus. They prostrate themselves, as we do for Holy Communion, which should be the natural reaction towards the presence of Christ. Prostration or kneeling. That is why receiving communion on the hand will never be a legitimate expression of the interior disposition of the person. It is simply impossible. So they see Jesus, and then they offer Him gifts. So they saw the sign, and they did something about it. They put themselves on the journey until they found our Lord. So that's one attitude. And that would mean simply that we take the time to prepare ourselves for Holy Communion, for Mass. There have been saints who only received Holy Communion once. That was sufficient for them to go to heaven. We receive Holy Communion almost every day. The question would be, what's going on? It is simply an extremely poor preparation for Mass. the lack of interest, the indifference with which people come to Mass. Not only late, almost every Sunday, but with no preparation at all. So the disposition is simply absent, and grace doesn't do anything, doesn't work anything in our souls. So we could ask the Magi today to help us prepare our souls well for Mass and for Holy Communion every time we come to Mass. Then we have King Herod. The Gospel says that him, along with Jerusalem, were extremely troubled once they heard that a new king was present in their midst. See, and that's the attitude of those who have everything. Those whose passion do not allow them to see reality, the presence of God in their midst. How many people, Catholics especially, worrying about money, work, possessions, the satisfaction of their appetites and passions. And that's the only thing they worry about. Then we have the Jews. They knew the Scriptures, but yet they didn't do anything about it. They knew that Christ was born, had been born, that he was in their midst. Everything was written. They were supposed to interpret everything and then get ready to welcome our Lord. And yet they didn't do it. They didn't do anything. See, how many, thousands and thousands of Catholics go to Mass every Sunday with no acknowledgement, no sign of reverence when they enter the church. See, you should see what we go through at every single funeral Mass that we have here at St. Catherine's. I tell them, that if they are not in the state of grace, they cannot receive Holy Communion. And they simply don't get it. They don't know what it means. And they are Catholics. They don't know what I mean by not being able to receive Holy Communion. So the Magi began their journey by putting Jesus first and making union with him their main priority in their lives. And that should be our attitude as well. So let us humble ourselves with the example of the three Magi. And, as they did, they were advised to go back home through a different route. And we do the same thing. Once we receive Holy Communion, we know what we're supposed to do. We have the strength of His grace, and we follow Christ.